Good evening. My name is Armaan Ahmed. Today we'll be looking at major composers, genres, and instruments of the Baroque period. Three main composers to look at today. One of them is Johann Sebastian Bach. He's regarded as one of the greatest composers of all time. Some of his most famous pieces are the Brandenburg Concertos. The Toccata and Fugue in D minor has a very distinctive beginning. The Well Tempered Clavier is a collection of pieces. The next one is Handel. He was born in modern day Germany in 1685, the same year as Bach, coincidentally. He was pretty much a child prodigy, and some of his most famous works are Messiah, which is an oratorio, which is like an opera, but more focused on the music and less on the performative aspect. The Water Music Suites, which were composed for King George to be played along the River Thames, and the Concerti Grossi Opus 6. Finally, Vivaldi. He was born in Venice in 1678. Even though he was only born 7 years before Bach, he was a major influence on him, on his music at least. He was quite well rounded. He was a teacher, a priest, a composer of opera, and a producer of opera. And probably his most famous work is The Four Seasons, Concerto for Violin, the Gloria in D major, and the Stabat Mater, which is a Christian hymn. Now we'll be looking at some genres of Baroque music. Um, a few were mentioned before, but this is just to complement that. We have the dance suite. This was a very important method of organizing compositions during the Baroque era. So these were dances, there were four of them, and perhaps a few more in a suite, but these four were omnipresent. You had the Allemande, the Courant, the Sarabande, and the Gigue. Allemande was in 4/4 time signature, had a medium tempo, and almost a knocking upbeat, and it was derived from a German dance, hence the name. Courant was in a 3/2 time signature, so 3/2, 3/4, 3/8. Um, it was a fast tempo. It's of Italian origin, and the name derives from the Italian verb for to run. Next, the sarabande. It's also in 3/2 time signature, but notice the tempo. It's moderately slow, so that creates some tempo contrast, especially with the courant right before this. There's an emphasis on the second beat, and it is of Spanish origin. And one example is the sarabande in D minor, which someone may play today. Next, we have the gigue, which is in 3/8 time signature, generally 3/8, 6/8, 9/8, or 12/8. It's fairly fast, and it's of British origin, or as you may recognize it, the jig. Finally, we'll be looking at some instruments of the Baroque era. One major section was string instruments. This was probably the majority of Baroque instruments, so violin, viola, cello, lute, double bass, and more. Other instruments, we had woodwinds, in that we had flutes, oboes, recorders, we had keyboard. This is especially important for basso continuo, which someone else will likely talk about. And we also had in the brass section trumpet and trombone. And that is a petite summary of the Baroque era's composers, genres, and instruments. I know this was a little fast paced, perhaps more courant than sarabande, but I hope that we can use this to see how these composers used these instruments in these genres to influence their era of music and beyond. Thank you.